welcome to our band. It is Pirate Booty, our first single, Off With They Heads.
So we got a French Revolution theme going on. The Bastille.
We just perform at Wireless Festival in Glastonbury. Welcome to Morning Amp. And this your girl Taco. I'm giving you rainbow sherbet wellness.
And it's your main homie, Ross, providing you with... What am I providing them with?
Provided whatever you want to give, honey. You should listen. We are going back to Prague tomorrow. That's how famous we is, okay? And today is talk like a pirate day. I don't know if that was given pirate, but
it was more like dying crow, but yeah. I mean, but hey, pirates have
our mateys
parrots.
are
Dying parrot.
A dying parrot.
Dying parrot.
Oh. Yes.
Can we just have you making different terrible bird noises for the next 30 minutes? Penguin.
Penguin? I don't know if I can come up with a penguin. I can't. I could tap dance, but this is not Happy Feet. It's the wrong show.
Happy Feet. Oh, the penguins. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. Nice. Well done.
That's all I can do. So, first topic of today. Diversity in horror comics is a lose-lose situation.
Diversity in comics in general is terrible. First of all, this is why it's a lose-lose situation.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, if a comic, all right, indie comic, let's introduce this new token, half Asian, half whatever, insert minority character. Insert that character into the comic. They're sitting there. Let's say they're West African. They got all these traditional Bantu languages, blah, blah, blah. And they're doing all this very ethnic stuff, right? People are going to say, oh, wait, that's cultural appropriation because the creator isn't of one of the two ethnicities that this character is, right? So people are going to complain, oh, it's cultural appropriation. Then, let's say the next comic, they just introduce a new character because the cast isn't diverse enough. The current cast of characters isn't diverse enough. The other complaint, which makes it a lose-lose, is, oh, that's just a token. Once again, insert ethnicity, it's like, they're like, whoa, wow, what can we do to please people?
Right.
What can they do?
I mean, it's a lot of stereotypes, but I just found out today that comics are a really cutthroat world. It's too many dang on gatekeepers. Wow. It's let my people go. I don't know. It's just giving that, it's like this division of worlds. You remember watching Nightmare Before Christmas, they have all these portals. That's the comic book industry. It's okay, you have black comic creators over here, you got these Asian creators over here, you got these guys over here. So it just seems like all the division is here. It's okay, we exist. However, to come to the forefront to get more attention, then it doesn't, and it's always based off stereotypes. I wish it would stop, but
yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out. That there are so many things in comics that characters do, the way they behave is stereotypical. And actually in the examples that I provided, that was the basis of the examples. I don't think this character, because he comes from because he's supposed to be because it happens all the time in comics. They have that Native American character,
mm-hmm.
and how is he? What's his weapon of choice? It's a tomahawk or it's a bow and arrow, right?
Yeah.
It's always the same thing. And he's, always the one who has some words of wisdom that don't make sense. If dogs face moon on the 10th day of year,
mm-hmm.
then it will be great harvest. It happens all the time. So maybe the readers themselves need to stop letting the characters portray these stereotypes. Stop letting the creators roll with this, and then by speaking up, maybe. And I'm not saying every comic does this, of course, but yeah, maybe people really kind of need to speak up and say, hey, we're tired of seeing like I said, the Native American character who his weapon of choice is always like a tomahawk or a bow.
Yeah. And I feel like it has to be the audience that says, we're sick of this. Like, we're sick of this ideal that this is the same thing over and over again. Like, it has to be an audience to where, like, that says, you know what, just don't support it. You can't say, well, I don't like seeing this type of comic, and then you don't like seeing this particular type of comic and complain about what you see, then just
go buy it.
Right, and then go buy it, or make your own comment, make something that you want to see or you want to see portrayed, and I feel like that's like pretty much the end of the conversation. Also, more so, networks and studios are looking more of indie comics. Examples is The Old Guard. You have Snowpiercer. I didn't know that was a comic, to be honest. And The Boys and Invincible. But I feel like The Boys is, to me, I thought The Boys was an original idea. I didn't know that was comic based. No?
Yeah. It was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the Boys. I've seen read parts of the comic digitally, and yeah, I mean, so you have these major players, which we spoke about on Friday. Netflix, Prime. Here they are. They're adapting ideas of indie comics instead of trying to grab up Marvel and DC like we once saw in the past. I mean, right now, how many Marvel movies are there?
A lot. I can't count.
Can't even count them. Like 24. All right, so 24 Marvel movies. Ridiculous, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and they, I don't even think I've seen all of them, because is it possible at this point if you don't binge?
I haven't seen all of X-Men, to be honest. Like, not the last 3, to be fair. So that's just being absolutely fair. I just, how you just thought about something and your mind went blank. My mind just thought about something and my mind went blank. It's just,
oh, it happens. I mean, when you're a pirate and you have scurvy, because it is Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Talking too much rum. I can't take it.
This is the scurvy effects. When you're focused on getting vitamin C, you lose your train of thought.
Yeah.
But actually, I feel like what you were going to kind of go a little bit more into is just like how Prime, like with The Boys, which you didn't even know, you thought it was an original idea.
No, I know what comic I was going to mention that I really, really love, and was Raising Dion. I did not know that was a comic. Raising Dion.
Raising Dion.
Yes.
Okay.
That Raising Dion is a comic.
And
it was on Netflix. And I didn't know it was an independent comic. I had no idea. I really loved the show, but what I didn't like about how they formatted the show like more so like a movie, but in a TV format. Like, I didn't think they were going to come back for a season 2, to be honest. I didn't know they were going to come back for a season 2. So even with the way they ended season 2, it was kind of funny, like ha ha ha, And then when they got canceled, because they wasn't coming back for season 3, they ended at 2 seasons. I was like, okay, I was sad, but then I was like, okay, well, the way y'all ended season 1, it was like a movie. It was like, oh, okay, I'm satisfied, with the way y'all portrayed it. But the biggest important thing was there was representation in that. Like, oh, it's a boy. It's a 6-year-old boy. He's a superhero. So that was like, and I feel like with these studios and these networks looking for these indie comics is helping the creators bring it to life. At least they search it, at least they looking, and shout out to Netflix and Prime for doing that.
Yeah, they're Lock and Key. Okay. Lock and Key began as an indie comic, now a Netflix series. I like that Netflix, Prime, and anyone else who's supporting and grabbing up these indie comics and like making these adaptations, these animated adaptations, or like The Boys, it's live action. Just like it's giving a chance for, as you mentioned, getting these ideas and getting them to a wider audience. And also, it's because, I mean, whenever something becomes a trend or becomes very popular, it starts to, the market for it begins to dry up. So like by having all these major studios grab up, either DC or Marvel, like they are covering Marvel characters that people have forgotten about and or didn't even care about, and they're making movies for them. Like, so where do you go after you've completely dried up the market for the mainstream comics? You go to the indie comics, and now you're adapting those into film and television, and people are really loving them because indie comics have a certain amount of like creativity and originality that sometimes is absent from the mainstream.
Yeah.
So, yes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Or it's just gonna die. So, and I feel like anybody who's doing independent comics, they're ahead of the game. Anyone that's not doing independent comics, they ain't trying to keep up with Marvel and DC doing. It's not all about Marvel and DC. There's way more people doing way more comics, and it's just like stories. Stories need to be told. So, yep, that's with that one. Why do most indie games fail? First of all, I feel like indie games don't even get attention at all. I didn't even know indie games exist. I'm sorry. I know about mainstream games. I'm probably as worse as our other hosts, but in the gaming, I know about, the Donkey Kong and the Tekken and all of that. But indie games, please, educate me. I don't know nothing.
Right. Yeah, so Apple Store, Google Play, tons of indie games on those platforms. There, Steam has tons of indie games, and then you can go out and you can almost like Google it now. You can probably put in indie games, and you'll reach different like servers that they just provide access to. Like you pay X amount, you get a subscription, and you have access to all of the indie games that they host. So.
Mm. Oh wow! Wait. Well, so
Oh, nice. I think
so
we can
would
share.
you? So I got a game that's like my favorite, but I don't know if it's considered independent. Do you know Jack? Would that be any? You don't know Jack? It's a trivia. Game. No,
It's made.
not-
Yeah.
that was on the Wii. Okay, I remember. I mean, when I was introduced to it, it was on an app, so that was indie to me. It's kind of like shelved under the breath.
I see what you're saying. Like you. Yeah.
Okay, it's before it blew up to mainstream. Okay.
Yep. So yeah, that's probably why some of these games you don't know that they're indie or that they were indie because they've spent so much time at the top now or near the top.
Mhm.
Like Angry Birds. Angry Birds. There's a movie. Like
Yeah, it's
which
like
is ridiculous,
yeah.
and you can quote me on that. But
Yeah,
it's like-
Angry Bird 1 and 2. I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, it's just and no, it's no offense to anyone who likes the movies. It's just that like I don't see how that game could create a movie. How like whoever sat down and said I'm going to come up with a plot for a movie with Angry Birds, genius. You are a genius. Congratulations. You have done the impossible. So congratulations on creating a movie, multiple movies, and merchandise from Angry Birds, a game where you're flinging birds around and knocking things over.
Yeah.
It is
I f-
fun.
I
Yeah,
f-
it is fun. I just don't
I
like.
feel like they created. I mean, it was easy. Like you can create a story about Angry Birds. Like, hey, I feel like it's just like with anything, trolls, any other brand, and create a concept, create a story. Hey, let's make a movie out of it. So I guess the main reason is the market is flooded by amateurs and lobbyists with no ideas how to make a successful game. So is marketing is their issue? Or the reason why that the games don't become successful?
Well, there's just so many people who making games is something that they do in their free time. It's like, oh hey, it's Saturday. I've been working Monday through Friday. I'm gonna work on this game I've been wanting to make. I have this idea. This should be a great game. Well, they don't have their full time, their full attention to devote to this game, and so you have a ton of these kind of people putting out games, and they're buggy. And another part is, of course, because even if there's some people who want to devote tons of time to the games, but because indie game creators just don't have the funding, they don't have the backing of some big corporation to make sure that they aren't eating just ramen noodles for the next 20 weeks while they're working on a game. Like they really just don't have the time to focus 100% on creating a game that is free of bugs. It has a great storyline, a great plot that people are like, oh man, I love this. Like, they just don't have the time for development.
I think to end it off on a good note, same with any comics, any games, gotta be better than mainstream. Because you're not better than mainstream. Well, what do we have? The future is lost. All hope is lost. So yeah, making it indie games gotta be better than mainstream, because if it's not, then it's just bad.
Yeah. Right. We talked about that on Friday. Yeah, with the guy Trout. He had someone who obviously he didn't know it beforehand, but someone used trial software to make this game, and that's a no-no. And so, I mean, and I'm sure for the person who was making the game using the trial software, by using the trial software, they were trying to save money instead of buying the full license, right?
Right.
So that shows you how tight money is, how difficult it is to come by funding and just getting monetary backing in the indie industry. It's crazy. But I actually before we go on to tell people about some of the stuff we like to tell them about, remember, like and subscribe on YouTube.
Like and subscribe on YouTube, Indie Vault TV on Roku, and Indie Vault Radio, which is on Google Play, Alexa, and iOS.
Before we go, back to that, I wanted to touch on kind of a strategy for indie comics, right? So, like when it comes to like manga, there's like tons of it out there, right? So in Japan, there's like tons of manga, and there are some that people in Japan probably have never heard about, because it's just like there's a ton of it out there, but like I feel like it is there's someone at least always looking for a new idea and to adapt it into like an anime, like a 12 episode anime, or even like 10 episodes. So I believe that if here in the United States and in the West in general, if maybe we moved into that direction when it comes to comics, like just giving these indie guys a shot and say, hey, if we adapt this idea into either a live action series or into an animated series, not something long and drawn out, like no major commitment, just say maybe 6 episodes, see how people like it. I think like we would see more people wanting to be indie comic book artists. Because it's like, I have this great idea, and I want to see it made, see it adapted. So, I mean, because what happens with manga, it gets adapted into, like I said, anime series, and it doesn't have to be like a 24 episode one, just like a 10 or sometimes 12 episode anime series. And that series is used as a marketing platform to get people to read the manga. Because you're like, hey, you guys only did one season. I want to know what happens later on, like in season 2. Well, it's like, hey, we're not going to make season 2. We're not going to adapt it. So you just got to go read it. And so I've actually read, there's some things that I've read because I'm like, hey, what happens after episode 13? Because they don't make a season 2. Nope. And the written content goes way past that. So, yeah. So it works both ways.
Yeah. It definitely does. It works both ways. But yeah, that is a wrap, you guys, for Morning App. I am Taco.
And I'm Ross. Remember, like, subscribe on YouTube. Indie Boat TV's on Roku. And
Arr, mateys! Arr!
Remember, it is Talk Like a Pirate Day. So
talk like a pirate.
Or like a dying bird. or talk like a dying bird.
Don't talk like a dying bird. Don't talk like, arr, mateys. I said, let's go find that booty in the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean, arr.
Thank you. And enjoy the rest of your Monday.